Do we know the nationality of the guy who made news for like being like, the nails are biting, the nails are biting? Very in keeping with an addiction, with someone just like, oh, that's not bad. And then like 3 days later, it's like, I need money for minis.
So if you go to a tournament, you'll have your sort of more flavorful games. And then if you end up in top bracket, God help you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to LoreCrimes. Hello!
Great.
We've got a couple of interesting things to point out today. First of all, we've got a special guest, all from the other side of the world, Julius from Legion W. Hello!
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Happy to be here? Question mark?
You'll see.
Leave it open-ended. We still have time to ruin this.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and also a fun fact, it's Colin's birthday. Happy birthday to you.
You've all been saying it for 8 months, and now it is actually the birthday.
Happy birthday.
Someone, Robert Smith in chat says 10 years time, he will be as old as Eldrad. So happy birthday, Colin.
How mean.
Happy birthday.
But today we are discussing something which we thought would be a bit of fun because we haven't got Hal today, sorry. So I'll be kind of covering the UK basis, but we've got an Islander, we've got an American, a Canadian, and a man who lives in Japan. So we're going to discuss about the differences between Warhammer across the globe as far as we are aware. And we've also asked the Discord for your own stories or little snippets about how you got into Warhammer and what media brought you into the fold. But Julius, to start us off, how long do you reckon you've been into Warhammer? Because that's kind of one of the question that's always on someone's mind. And they're like, oh, are you a newbie? Have you been here since COVID? Have you been playing this since you were a kid? What's the deal? How long you been into it?
No, dude, tell me about it. That's like a lot of what comes up in conversations here. It's just like, oh God, why are you here? And that's like a lot of the things which I myself don't know. But to give a story, I'm relatively new to the actual experience, both in terms of just the world itself and actually the tabletop. About 2022 was when I really got into. Of course, before then, there was a period of time where I remember as a kid, I was like reading Game Informer magazines when Space Marine 1 was still
nice.
That's like ancient technology right
I
there.
love Game Informer, dude. I would get those every month.
Oh man, I was like, remember I was like reading, and they have like the ratings and stuff. I'm like, Space Marine is like what? It's like a 9.1. That's insane. It's like Halo Reach is like a 9.3. That must mean it's a really good game. It's like so.
Should be.
But yeah, but that was really sort of the there was a sort of brand awareness of it, and then I came to Japan in 2019. And up until that point, I was a big sci-fi nerd. It was more attuned towards sort of what was considered to be Eastern pop culture. So the big one for me is Gundam. But besides, there's like Transformers, right? Macross, Pat Labor.
Man.
Yeah, this like
you're all the check marks right now.
Yeah, it's like this guy. Oh, look at this guy. It's just living 1980s, 1990s, just over and over again. But yeah, so those were the big works, and then. Just for the context, just to give a bit of intro on the story, I work here in show business, so I'm mostly an actor in my main time. And the story of how I got into 40K actually was because I was fortunate enough to get a role that I was coveting for a while. And on set, there was a lot of sort of advisors and producers who were super into the IP I was working on, but they were more precisely into 40K. And so a lot of them, I was just chatting with them. They're like, you know what you should do? You should take a look at something called Black Library. It's really interesting. And then from there was like a half year of just lapse after the set basically wrapped. And I remember at one point just sitting in my room, like doing nothing. I'm like, yeah, maybe this is the time to start. It'll be great. And so, it was like after that, it was like a few wiki jumps just later. And suddenly I was like, you know what? Maybe I do want to get a few minis. This sounds like a good idea. And so then 3 years down, and now I have 3 Lord of Skulls behind me on my shelf, and it's just been downhill from there.
Those now, nice.
It's
this
horrible.
man, this man played 100 games with those Lord of Skulls. So you can see it on his channel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you going to make 5? Are you going to get to 10? How many is too many Lords of Skulls?
Like it's whatever the amount that I'm going to be allowed to play by GW. Frankly, it's like it's like pitch is like, GW, can you please make them battle line? That would be insane. It's like, imagine if I could run 6 of them.
I mean, they got Chaos Knights. They might as well, do that with Lord of Skulls. It's basically a knight.
I'm just saying, like, there was a period of time where like 5 knights was meta, like earlier last summer, and it's like it could have been 5 Lord of Skulls. I think that's just GW's mistake on just.
I'm waiting on the same thing for Wraith Knights one day. If only.
You must have had fun at the start of 10th, dude, when it was like...
it was great being an Eldar player at the start of 10th. And, I'm not good at playing 40K, but, it was... I could point at other people and go, yeah, the Eldar are doing great.
Eli, what's the massive Tau dropship thing called? Is that the Manta?
The Manta.
Is the Manta, yeah. Surely the Manta is the meta, because you can just go into any game and just be like, smash, 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 smash. Mine is the meta.
Well, it's 2,200 points, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You can't even use it in normal 40K.
It used to be 2,000 on the dot for all of eternity until now. So, I mean, it is $2,000. It was $2,000 and 2,000 points. So, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I'm like 99% sure that there's actually one at the Akihabara Warhammer store. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it there. I made poor purchases there, but I did not. But if there's a tiger shark there, it's going in the suitcase. If there's a tiger shark.
I mean, look, every time I go to a convention, I come back with a new army, so I can hardly say anything about more purchases.
I've just never been to a store that actually had like a ton of Forge World in it. That was kind of like a crazy experience for me. It's probably all over the place in the UK, I imagine.
Oh yeah, you go to the one in Tottenham Court Road, and there's just like an entire wall of just Forge World.
Yeah. Wow!
Oh, it's like 50 boxes.
I've never been to a store in Alberta, at least, with any Forge World in it at all.
Well, I have for those of us not in the UK, so most of us, but Andy over here, it's usually not secondhand, but like non Warhammer game stores will sometimes have Forge World. One of the last one was that had a bunch of Lord of the Rings minis of all things, but still no goddamn Nazgul.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was a bit of a culture shock for me, because it's like growing up on an island where I could only buy the little Ultramarine starter box in the 90s. And then now there is a shop called Just Games where you can buy Warhammer, and the whole upstairs is Warhammer stuff. But going from I don't have any access to Warhammer to then you just get any Warhammer shop in London or even the one in Nottingham, and just there's boxes upon boxes upon. There's 15 types of Titans I can buy. Wow, amazing.
I have a question. So what I was thinking, what I'm wondering is Warhammer proportionally more expensive in Japan than it is here? Because when I went, I was thinking, the conversion rate's good, maybe I can get cheap Warhammer, but no, it was the same price in Canadian dollars, just converted into yen, which to me would mean it's proportionally more expensive in theory.
So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that was actually one of the things for a while, which people were trying to argue, was that, it would be cheaper in Japan to pick up stuff just because, economically, that's kind of just where the yen is right now. But yeah, GW has been pretty tight about sort of when it came to every year, they would basically just update the prices for a while. So there's a period of time I remember when I got into the hobby at the end of 9th, where they didn't quite adjust their prices around that point. And that was a period of time where I was just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna blast money on this. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? It's like, and then, sure enough, it was after that, Legionaries went from at that point, I think it was 7,000 yen to they shot them up to 9,000 or something like that. And so then suddenly everything started to line up. But it's still, I think, the best way if you're, and this is for anyone listening who is curious about purchasing minis in Japan, one of the best places you can look if you can get your hands on it is just secondhand stuff. So Mercari is fantastic as a place to look, Yahoo Auctions as well. Besides that, a store which I gotta plug two stores in the area that are very interesting, at least in Tokyo, which is Giant Hobby and Arrows. Both of them have a pretty vivid community, and that's sort of where you can see a little bit less of like the, obviously when people come here, they're like flagship stores, Warhammer Cafe. It's all and it's all really great. But if you want to get like a little bit of taste of like what the sort of LGS vibe is like, definitely those two stores are a great place to start. So
you have a video on Arrows, right? Is that the one that you did a video on, or is that a different one?
I do, yeah. So actually, the channel has a video for both Giant Hobby and Arrows. So if you're curious about them, you can check them out. But yeah, we're hopefully we'll have an opportunity to do a little bit more with them in the future. It just really depends. It's like Tokyo film laws are fantastic. So every time we think of an idea, we have to jump through those hoops.
Wow. So, dang. Interesting.
Yeah. Or Colin, how do you, if you can cast your mind back, I don't know if we've discussed this on a stream before, maybe we have behind the scenes. What's your experience been like growing up in the US of A and getting miniatures? And are they expensive? Did you find stuff in a store? Did you play a video game? Like what was your like gateway into this expensive hobby?
Well, I'll start with the minis actually, because it's kind of simple, but it is what it is. I actually where I used to live in Illinois before I moved was I was 10 minutes from a Games Workshop store. And I always remember like just because I used to, when I was in high school, me and my friends, like we'd go on runs to like GameStop, Best Buy, and a local place called Disc Replay.
Yes, dude.
That's some good times.
It was always fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was always fun. Usually like we were looking for, my one friend was really into like amiibos for Smash Bros. So he was usually the one like rounding everyone up. But I would always look at the Games Workshop and I was like, I was curious, but at the time I wasn't like that, like really into wargaming or anything. I was barely even playing much D&D. So, and I also kind of knew, I'm like, if I make one purchase, it's not going to stay. It's just like, this cool little box of guys. It's going to be,
you're gone.
But then when I got into Warhammer, actually, it was through a friend of mine who I guess when he bought his graphics card one year, he got a free copy of Total War Warhammer, the first one. And I didn't buy it until he gave it to me because he hates strategy games. I had never bought it, not even out of necessity. It was kind of disinterest, but that's because I used to be like the Total War purist. I was like, why are there dragons here? I don't want dragons. I want trebuchets max and cannons and foot soldier. I want my history. I was like that for a bit, but then I played it. I was like, well, he's not going to use it. He's giving it to me for free. I might as well try it. And then I was like, and now I'm in. And then from there, it was like you were saying, Julius, let me click on the wiki and God, I'm here. Which is, as much as people give, a lot of people you can and probably should sometimes give the wiki some crap for not being the most accurate. It is when you're just starting Warhammer, I still find it's like the coolest experience. You scroll through the wiki for 5 hours, you learn nothing. Every other word is another proper noun. Like it's another link to another article. I don't know what this doesn't help.
What the hell is an orphanarium? What does that mean? What is secundus? What does that mean? Do I need a pie chart to break this down?
What is the end times? It sounds really cool when I don't know anything about it.
Wow.
What's the content, the lore content creation like in Japan? Is there Japan's own lore YouTubers, or does everyone over there also just watch like Luton and all the classics, I guess?
You got a handful of people who are fighting the good fight out here. And when I say that, is there's a few people who are like desperately trying to localize and translate like sources and stuff like that. And I guess this should all be prefaced with the fact that like while Japan has access to a lot of the lores, like for example, there's a Japanese version of Horus Rising that you can get, and it's like it's a really interesting one because it's kind of sort of localized in its serialization as well, where if you ever read a Japanese novel in Asia as a whole, they don't do like numbers usually. There's an up and a middle and a down. And so when you have like a book, there's like you have the upper half and then you have the lower half essentially. And Horus Rising, for whatever reason, was split into an upper half and a lower half. And so you have to go. And so I'm looking through like used bookstores. I'm like, here's Horus Rising. Great. I only get the up section, so now I have to find the down section.
Oh wow!
So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
That's
So they
awesome.
don't translate many Black Library books for Japanese.
Not a lot off the top of my head. I think the biggest, I know there's a Japanese copy of Horus Rising. There's a handful of the Horus Heresy books that have made their way into Japanese print. But besides that, I'm probably missing some. But really, when compared to what you're able to get in English or a lot of the Romance languages, there's just a lot less available. So then, Eli, going back to the subject of sort of content creators here, a lot of them as well, they get a lot of their info from one of the few things that are translated to Japanese quite frequently, which are the codexes.
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
yeah, so that's usually, you'll get like a few YouTube channels that definitely tend to cover those. And it's like a little bit of a sort of the always a little bit what happens with channels here is like, those weird like miniature shops that look like they sell Gundam models but don't actually sell Gundam models in Tokyo.
The fake
Well, so
Gundam
this
sellers.
is what it's about. It's like, can you imagine, like, what are these rip tie? It's like, that's kind of just how it feels. So it's like, I don't know, it just sounds like Mark II for me, just extra steps. So it's just like,
So is Warhammer in its earlier stages of I don't know, birth,
What
like
state
rising?
of the infection
I guess
is
in Japan, like
spreading
like, is
contagion,
it
or
just
like
now kind of?
oils and like
I knew that was coming. The three face.
oh, virulent.
Yeah.
It's like,
Is it like just now on the rise kind of, and it's just like the ball has started to roll, or has it been big for a while?
excellent question. A lot of the people here would argue that it's definitely been sort of rising, especially recently with 10th. I would definitely say that's the case. The thing to remember with Japan is that a lot of Japan is definitely pushed on sort of how well stuff is marketed through media and so on and so forth. And we do have some stuff which is interesting. For example, if you guys remember the Imperium magazine and the Combat Patrol magazine, which is currently being serialized, Japan has that too, which is quite interesting. It's something which you can walk into like a bookstore here and you can find all of the sort of like Imperium or like the Combat Patrol magazines nicely lined up, but only the paint ones. Because people here are still smart about which ones do they want to scalp to high heaven. So it's like, so you do see like a lot of people who just happen to read it by eye. So there's a little bit of that brand familiarity there. But there hasn't been a sort of killer piece of media yet. In a sense, like a lot of people don't know about, for example, Astartes here. It's like sort of like some people have seen the Secret Level short, not a lot, and Space Marine 2, while it was big, it's ultimately a Western game. And so that's sort of like when coming into the Japan sphere, you're competing with like so many different, and it's like, what is this? This is not a From Software game. What am I supposed to do with this? It's like,
kind of reminds me of like, I know it was difficult to bring things like Xbox into Japan compared to like, what's your, like, you've got the PlayStation and you've got Nintendo as like home turf. And then Xbox comes in like, do you like Master Chief? And it's like, who's this? Who is this? That's not Mario or Kratos.
And that's now a battle Xbox is losing here too.
It's true. Oh man, I can cry about that one for so long.
Because you do have the big cafe, the Warhammer cafe in Japan, and I know America's now getting their own Warhammer world, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But like, I know it's like America is a bit of a cheat code because if you're big in America, it goes everywhere. So do you reckon like the cafe in Japan has had much of an impact in like the consciousness of like the populace? Like, oh, this is Warhammer, or they just like, that's some weird gimmicky shop. I have no idea what that is, and I just walk past it. And you're like, oh, I don't know what that is.
Absolutely. So I think when it comes to the cafe, it definitely has spread brand recognition. And it's worth also mentioning at this point that it's not as the cafe very much so, because it's smack dab in the middle of Akiba, right? So you get a bunch of people who are going there for nerd stuff, and then it's like, oh, here is the Warhammer cafe, and it's like, that's not Japanese. What is that doing here? But it's also worth remembering, even in just downtown Tokyo, besides the Warhammer cafe, there's I think like two other flagship stores stationed here that are just scattered around Tokyo. Then there's one in Yokohama, one up in like further north in a place called Omiya. We don't go there, but it does exist. And then there's like a handful of others. Yeah, it's like then there's like one in like Osaka now. There's like they basically just GW has been making a push to try and get a flagship store basically in every major city. And it looks like that's a business model that they're sticking with. So every time you go onto the GW website, it'll be like, we're opening up a store here. We're looking for staff. We're opening up a store here. We're looking for staff. And so it does seem to have some sort of an impact there, where you just see this sort of brand recognition there. And that gets a lot of people curious. So you get people walk in, and that's where the staff come in. It's like, so you've never heard about this. Let me tell you a bit about this experience.
There's like because I remember I was thinking of like a fun idea for like, if I had money, which I don't, but I was like, if I had money, a fun idea would be like going to every Warhammer shop in the UK and then do like all of them in Europe. And I was like curious as a concept, like, would that have legs? And you go to like Amsterdam and there's like two of them in like the capital. And then like, I don't know if you'll see it very well, but like, if I zoom out a little bit, like you can kind of see like there's kind of scattered all over the place in Europe, and like not too far apart. I guess if you get to like the train or something, and I'm like, I wonder how much resources that GW can spare outside of Europe and America to different countries with regards to like how many shops is enough to like spread our influence. And I guess with Japan, they're just like put them everywhere. But one there,
that's the solution.
Yeah. Like it was kind of hard to find Warhammer stores when I went there. Like if you put Warhammer into Google Maps in Tokyo, all that came up for me was the cafe. I didn't get any other like secondary hobby stores and stuff like that. So that was
Eli, I guess you came to the right guy. What can I say? Yeah, like you're gonna get a different round too. So yeah,
this might be a dumb question. This might be or like a point. I don't know. It might be my lack of understanding for the katakana alphabet, but. Would something like Warhammer be hard to translate because you basically have to reinvent all of these words in katakana? Is that kind of how it works?
You would be. It definitely has localization issues, and I think one of the biggest barriers that Warhammer has, at least in Japan, is the localization. It's not an impossible thing, and it's important to remember when it comes to sort of localization. It's just there's like plenty of other companies have seen success with a solid localization, like Magic the Gathering is a great example, right?
Yeah,
it's pretty well played here. And you get people who cleanly translate that stuff. But there is always like a little bit of the tricky part with any sort of like Western company coming into Japan and trying to establish a foothold is you can always get the translation to sort of correct, you can get the meaning translated, but you can't always get the nuance. And that's the tricky part. So there's always a little sense of like the joke in Japan has always been that if you read something, you're like, this has definitely been translated by someone who doesn't speak Japanese as their main language. And so a great example, which I can give, and this is one which people might disagree with me on, but this is one that like stood out to me when I was getting into the hobby was I gravitated really hard towards Chaos. I'm a big Word Bearers fan. Nice. So yeah, I'm thank you. I finally get the recognition I deserve. Thank God.
Eli finally has a friend who likes like Word Bearers. He's second 4 years.
It's just like I go here and like everyone's like, oh, you like them. Jeez.
It's like, there ain't nothing wrong with liking Word Bears. There ain't nothing wrong.
I feel awesome. Deep shame, and it's like it's horrible.
This is a safe space for Word Bear fans.
Look, I just don't like, they're Space Marines at the end of the day, so I'm just kind of out from there.
They arguably they made it so that the most Space Marines in the setting died.
That's true.
That's cool. Hang on. All right.
I'm listening now. Fair. Superhuman genocide and count me in.
Okay.
Okay. It's like, but getting onto the topic of that, I remember when I picked up my first codex. There's usually when anything revolving around the word chaos, is translated into Japanese. There's two routes people go. There is, you either translate it directly phonetically, and so then it becomes calls. So calls is what it would say. And then the other option, which people tend to do as well, and this is more common, I think, in like, if you look at Yu-Gi-Oh does this, or I think I would bet Magic does it, but I'm not super familiar, so don't hold me on that. But they use the term konton. And konton is like it's a kanji term that just basically means like, it does translate to chaos. It just means sort of like a mixture or like dissonance is the best way to describe it. And I was really expecting them to go around like konton as like a route. And there is like smatterings of konton that are like put through the codex as sort of like a description. But the actual word that they use for chaos is chaos. So it's chaos, like directly phonetically translated. To this day, GW is the only company that I know who has used that phonetic translation.
Wow.
So
we got to protect the IP. We got to protect the IP.
It could be an insane business move.
Wow.
But it wouldn't be the first time when they were like, oh, how can we get around using orcs in the setting? We'll spell it with a K. How do we get around elves? We use Eldar. And then I can imagine someone in corporate up at GW was like, no, we got to keep brand recognition. I don't care if it doesn't translate.
Yeah. Holiday,
It's
that makes sense.
The hard K. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like,
Because you could you Kao Su, I guess, right? Kaosu or whatever.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That's very GWE to do though.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And but enough about what brought us into the hobby. We basically put a little message out on our Discord, so check out the Discord if you'd like to. And we've got some responses from you guys about how you got into the hobby or how it affects where you live. And I thought it was only right that we start off with a friend of the channel, Red, who put this comment. Let me just see what it says on this screen. So my crossed out fall interest into Warhammer was pretty normal and gradual. I heard about 40k before, but didn't know much about it apart from it's super over-the-top sci-fi. One day, a YouTuber called The Exploring Series, who I already watched for his SCP videos, posted a brief explanation of 40k. I was immediately hooked by the dark Gothic and Catholic aesthetic. I remember wanting to know more about Chaos and the Eldar specifically. There you go, Colin. From there, more 40k stuff would pop up in my recommended. Unfortunately, the only YouTubers I watched at the time was Major Kill and a little bit of One Mind Syndicate. From there, I started learning more and more about the setting and hobby. My first ever Warhammer purchase was the Imperial Guard start collecting with the Lehman Russ. Back then, I could never decide if I wanted to play Imperial Guard or turn them into GSC Brood Brothers. As for fantasy, my first expose was the Russian Badgers TWW2, so that's Total Warhammer video. I thought the game looked cool, but that was about it. Eventually, I started watching more stuff about the game and came across Cody Bonds. Hey, he's been on the pod, who was my only source of fantasy lore for a while. And then Colin turned up and was just like, okay, let's get back into Warhammer Fantasy. Yes. I had brought the game and enjoyed it with all of my lore knowledge practically coming from the game and Cody Bonds. Then I found Colin, there you go, through his Advancing 40k Lore Pros and Cons video and started learning more about fantasy through him. As for AOS, I always heard it sucked from Major Kill, so I never really looked into it. Until one day I was bored and decided to browse the GW web store and noticed how cool a lot of the AOS models are. Needless to say, I got interested, so I found 2+ stuff for lore and realized, hey, this setting sounds pretty cool. From there, Hey Woe got recommended to me, and I've been an AOS fan ever since. Also, I was an AOS fan before I was a fantasy fan. Before I got into AOS, all I knew about fantasy was the Total War game. Wow.
Yeah. Nice message. Thank you, Red. I want to ask, Julius, is there a Warhammer fantasy scene in Japan at all, or is it just 40k mostly?
There definitely is an AOS scene here. So if I were to, for example, just like pull up what's commonly used, well, now X, but like the wonderful Musk app. If I were to pull it up, you usually, and you would just search up like Warhammer tournaments or something like that. You usually get a 50-50 split. So you'll get like people who are, very much like 40k, 40k, 40k. Here's my Sylvaneth army. And it's like, there's a lot of that. So there's people who jump in between. And just because there's, once again, it just goes back to the brand familiarity here isn't as concrete as it is overseas. So there isn't sort of that that link of Warhammer to 40K and sort of vice versa that really is present. So a lot of people here when they get in, they're like, do I start with 40K? Do I start with AOS? And so there's this that sort of like debate to start. And
interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people are there.
How about Old World?
I was going to say, I don't suppose there's much of that.
I assume GW wasn't pushing Warhammer Fantasy a lot in Japan 15 years ago. And that's the only reason Old World works around here is because there's a bunch of old heads who like Warhammer Fantasy, basically.
Guys, I have some breaking news. I've just realized that I have been bamboozled by this commenter. This is not Red. This is someone using his identity.
Oh my gosh.
You sneaky buggers. How dare you? How dare you? You were going into the gulag. We will never. Whoever this is, I will find you. I will hunt you down.
You are being ejected.
Yeah, we are going to forcibly eject you from the hobby somehow. You sneaky boys, because all the comments are mainly Mike saying, "Ha ha ha!" They fell for it. Thanks, guys.
Anyways, yeah. Is there any Old World around? Even just where you are, I guess. But.
There are probably like 10, 15 people right now who will probably be living in Japan who will watch this podcast. And they will be furiously pumping their fists right now and shaking their monitor.
Let's go, Old World.
There's like a few people always when I go to like a tournament or I go to a meetup, and everyone's like, "Have you heard of Old World? Are you into? Would you be interested in playing a bit of Old World?" And I remember I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Dude, it looks interesting, but like, you're asking a lot out of me, dude." I'm just like, so.
It's fine. It's good. It's really good. You should play it.
It's so true. That's like I was talking to the giant hobby guy, the guy who runs that store, and he like just gets a bunch of people in and out who like are just super into 40K and AOS, and that seems to be just his two big breadwinners. But very occasionally, if you just get in a conversation with him, he'll just eventually, it's like entropy. It just always ends at Old World for whatever reason. Like it just funnels in that direction. I'm like, okay, it's like I'm here to buy Space Marines, but it's like so that's the experience. It's like,
cool. Should we talk about some tabletop stuff?
Ooh.
Like the real life play in the game, that stuff. I think
I will see if I can. I have so many screens. I am trying to find tabletop relevant comments. But feel free to tell us about your experience while I find something that could pirouette from there.
Because Mr. Julius here probably plays more tabletop than any of us. Andy doesn't play any tabletop.
I was going to say, a lot more than me.
Colin plays every once in a while. I play consistently, but by that I mean like one game every 1 or 2 weeks. It would certainly take me a while to get 100 games in with my 3 Lord of Skulls if I were to do such a thing. So I think you probably have the most experience out of all of us. Mind you, I've been playing the game since I was 12, so I guess I have the most experience.
That's the key reason, I think.
You have the most 10th edition experience, I think. So I guess, I don't know. I don't even know what to ask. Like, I guess, what is the tabletop scene like? Like, how do people play? Is there a wacky meta, or is it the same as other places? What do you think?
I can definitely, man, where to start with that question, Eli? That's the question. It's a very deep question. It's like, what is tabletop? But like, I think Japan has a very interesting sort of environment for tabletop for 40K. So this also comes a little bit, I can sort of explain it from, I guess, my own lens, because really that's the only lens that I have into this. But I'm like pretty into trading card games, right? So I haven't played much MTG, but I played a pretty heavy amount of Vanguard, if people are familiar with that godforsaken IP. And then I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Which is the other horrible one. But I played a lot of them, and then from there it was like this weird jump from shuffling decks into trying to handle the secondary mission deck. If you've ever tried like that tarot card size, is just really confusing. But anyway, tabletop here at the very least is very interesting in the sense that there's this mix of local Japanese players, so they do make up a good portion of the player size, and then another large player base is the expat group. So a lot of people come here who are just like, yeah, I'm looking to someone to play 40K with, and either on like work holiday or they're generally here working, or some of them have their PR, so they're living here permanently. But there is a Discord in, at least for example in Tokyo, where there's just this amount, just this huge conglomerate of just like expats that are just all just like, I'm ready to play fucking 40K tonight. And it's like, let's get it. Really, though, to be honest, it's a bit of a wild west out here in that sense. Like there's a lot of like, I remember when I first was trying to find my like someone to play 40K with, it's just really as simple as just like awkwardly standing in a corner at the Warhammer Cafe and hoping someone else is awkwardly standing there.
That's awesome, because we don't have that. We don't have that anymore.
I mean, listen, dude, it worked only like once for me, so it's like it doesn't always work. But there is like a little bit of that culture here where it's just like you just try and find someone. It's like, oh, dude, you also speak English? That's crazy. It's like let's bond over the fact that we're speaking English in Japan. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's like, wow, you're fucked up too. That's crazy. It's like, jeez, it's like you came to Japan and you're buying UK miniatures. That's crazy, dude.
The UK virus? Oh, you poor thing. And then before you know it, they're all just like, hello, governor, get a cup of cheese, fish and chips, play a game of Warhammer. Oh, my teeth. Oh, my teeth. Yeah, it's not great being British.
The friendship is like immediately broken once you start discussing line of sight. That usually is how it works. You're like, dude, you're cool. And then you like start drawing with your tape measure, and then you're just like the friendship just evaporates. Like, I get benefit. No, you do not. I clearly see your whole model. Dumbass. It's like that's kind of like how it goes. So
I've got
so there's a pretty
keep going. If you keep going, more to go.
Just to sort of give one last thing for Eli for your question, is there any sort of like interesting meta that is being built up in Japan? There is a pretty dedicated group of testers out here, and so you will see a lot of people sort of trying different things. A lot of it does sometimes tend to skew because a lot of it is just simply based on what is tested in the West. So a lot of people would kind of like bring out what is done in the West and then kind of just try and port it over here. That being said, at every tourney I have been to, there's always one Japanese player playing either Custodes or World Eaters. And I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, they are just convinced that Custodes and World Eaters are insane. And, I mean, hey, they clearly, they sometimes top, but like they are really dedicated to the strategy. So,
wow. Interesting. It's cool. All right, Andy, what did you have?
So this one's from Cassidy Cheese, #1 Night Fan. I had a friend in my school who would explain the different Age of Sigmar games they played and some of the rules. I also played Total War Warhammer because of a different friend and read The Infinite and the Divine as my first book. All of these got me into Warhammer as a whole. Difficulties include money. So that's the
many such cases. Many such cases.
Which is a shame.
Warhammer was semi-affordable when I was a kid. It really was. But it's tough nowadays. I do understand. I've made this argument before. It's a slight cope. It is a slight cope, I'll admit. But for return on investment, Warhammer is not actually that expensive of a hobby compared to a lot of other hobbies as well. If you put $500 is an insane, unbelievable, like get you into this cost. But once you spend that $500, that's technically all you have to spend.
You're not
and
like
then you can have 1,000 hours
cars
out of that. No problem. Yeah. So it's a good ROI. It's a very steep first-time investment. I understand that. But like compared to car guys who are spending their entire paychecks on one little thing for their car and then doing it again next week and then doing it again, like there's far more expensive hobbies out there.
And there are like gacha games where like I've seen some of the ones which is like some of the whales who are just like 10 grand a month. You're like, ooh,
yeah.
my word. Or like
Like,
or owning a Steam library, and there's like summer sales coming around. You're like, oh geez, I can't wait to buy 50 games I won't play for 10 years. Amazing.
My wife would spend more than I do on Warhammer on claw machines if she had the option. But that's her absolute favorite thing in Japan, is going to the claw machine stores and spending like $100 and just playing claw machines for hours and hours. But
and then he like going, honey, we talked about this.
and now we're gonna have to buy a new suitcase because she has 20 million stuffed animals and stuff. Oh man, yeah.
The day that Games Workshop manages to find a way to fit Warhammer minis into the like gotcha balls is the day that I'm like over.
I mean,
that is like.
Yeah.
They have experimented kind of with the Warhammer Heroes boxes where they fly a box and you couldn't see what was inside. So it's like, gotta get them all. It's like, screw off. They're quite expensive.
If they actually made those things and you could bring them as single characters, that would totally work, I think. But I don't think you were able to do that. I think you had to have the whole squad for them to work. I don't know. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
On the subject of the heroes, I distinctly have like a very strong memory of me standing outside like a surugaya, which is like one of the more common sort of like pop goods sort of like shops here in Japan. But I remember like buying, they had this just when the Warhammer Heroes the second Space Marine box came out. And it was basically, it's the one that is now available in a kill team. But I remember distinctly buying, I desperately wanted like the Eliminator or whatever it was from that. There was like a Phobos one. And I was standing outside of the shop and I would buy them one at a time. So they're like 1,000 yen each. I'm like, great. Okay, whatever. This is great. And so I would buy one. I would walk out of the shop, open it, realize it wasn't the one I wanted, and then go back in to buy another one.
Man.
This happened 8 times. The clerk was like done at that point. He was like, all right, you're here again. That's great.
Oh man.
You sure you don't want to buy like 3? Is like
is that the thing where if you go into any Warhammer shop in the UK, and I know they're told to do this, you go past the threshold and someone lunges at you from the team. They go, "Hi, can I help you with anything?" You're like, "I've just got here. Give me a minute to catch my bearings." There's a lot of stuff to look at. There's a lot of shiny
doors
things.
Not even closed, but thanks for the warm welcome.
The building, the other foot is still outside. Give me a second. But again, poor guys, they have to do that because they're told they have to. Come on.
What's the if I may, what's the, I don't even know how to like say it properly, but the friendliness meter of people, Japanese people playing Warhammer, because around where I live, it's like you often get a very nice person, but for some reason my local community is like just terrible. Like
Rabid.
Probably 1 in 5 people that you play around here are like power gamers, gotcha guys who will do everything in their power to just like kill you in real life, and they'll try to gotcha on as many rules as possible, and they're just like very poor sports and very rude and stuff like that. What's the friendliness meter for Japan? How competitive are people, and like, are people rude, I guess, at all?
Oh man, that's I think you
The
definitely
expats are
rude. I'm rude. That's like the truth of it, man. I'm like just like going through my head. I'm like, it's like compared to me, how shitty is everyone around here? I know that's kind of like, but like, I think to answer that question, I think it comes, a lot of it in Japan, I think ironically parallels pretty well to what a lot of people say overseas, which is like, to a degree, when it comes to the sort of like power gaming, the actual toxicity of the community, a lot of it can be found sort of on the more sort of pub stomping sort of like LGS level, where you're just sort of like, if you're just here just to have a casual game, that tends to actually be the one that like is the one where like people are like, oh, I'm gonna hit you with 20 different reactive moves and I'll blow you up instantly. So while they play solitaire, you're kind of just in the corner. And I've definitely had those experiences. I think like, especially when I was starting out, there was a period of time where I was actually having trouble getting into the tabletop simply because I would be like, I would build this army and I would like really want to sort of like, take it out for a spin, and then I would go and have a not as pleasant experience as I originally thought I would be having for 3 hours. But I think I found a lot better success in the sort of tournament scene here, where a lot of people then started to get really particular about, all right, match play, here are your set rules, know your rules. And once you have that guideline, the nice part about that is that all that gray area for like ambiguity and sort of fast play and whatever, that tends to sort of fade away a little bit. It's not a complete fix, but it does happen. And I think when it comes to Japan, at the very least, a lot of the expats here do stand by that. And I think that's something which is it's really great to see. And a lot of Japanese people as well do. Japan as a whole has been pretty. This is the country that, for context, for like, it's like rule sharking is like a perfectly normal thing in Japan. It's like weird. It's like I think everyone else is like, it's like, God, rule sharking is ass. And I'm trying not to take sides on the fence, but Japan, they have a term for that. It's called judge killing. And so the term is like, if you see someone doing something at a tourney that is like that looks either questionable or something like that, it's perfectly fine for you to call the judge over and attempt to kill him out of the tourney. Is basically the concept. Is like, so that was actually a sort of thing for a while. But a lot of I think the thing is that because the expat community and the Japanese community, it's interesting in the sense that it's sort of split, but at the same time, there's this weird like border where they try and mix. And so that's the really interesting one, because the biggest boundary ultimately, and where, to answer your question of where a lot of the sort of weird, the weird miscommunication happens, is mostly language. Some rules are not updated in Japanese. Like Armor of Contempt was translated like 2 or 3 times over the course of 10th edition. And so it's like, that's one of those things where, okay, then if the guy shows up with the Japanese codex and you're comparing that to the English codex and then the English FAQ and the tournament manual, suddenly you get into a lot more confusion. That happens. That does happen here. So
interesting. I was wondering if the expats and locals stay apart from each other. So that answered my question, I guess. But interesting.
Got another one from the Discord. This one's from the unit, in brackets, it, and they, them. Got into Warhammer 4 via Mechanicus, like the game, and was just kind of passively a fan until I started playing Total Warhammer 2. Instantly grew to love the fantasy settings more. Really started to get into Warhammer via the Cities of Sigmar Free Guild refresh at the end of AOS 3rd edition. I adore, in capitals, everything from post-refresh Cities of Sigmar so much it's incredibly well done and unique. Very much locked into AOS being my main setting after picking up competitive age of AOS with a current win-to-loss ratio of 25-1-4. Bruh. And having gone 3rd place in a GT in less than a year of competitive play. Warhammer cool. Warhammer is cool. I do have a question, Julius, with your Lord of Skulls games. Have you been keeping a track of how many raised eyebrows you get when you just like, they're putting their, and you're just like, donk, 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 and they're just like, and you can see them kind of saying in their head, okay, this will be interesting. Is there like frowns or?
There's the fun part about that is it's always a 50-50, you know, because the question is always, it's always like, what the fuck is that? It's like, oh, fuck me. What are you bringing this toughness skew ass looking ass? It's like, that's like, it's like 2. It's like either the guy who like, you're like, oh, it's like, you know, I see it's a joke, or people are going to, or more people suddenly immediately start formulating ways that they can outmaneuver my list. And I'm like, it's not that hard. You don't have to think that bad about this. Like, but yeah, I have definitely gotten a lot of, I think one of the pleasures about playing 40K is just the nature of, it's 3 hours with another guy and it's a very social game, right? If I compare it to something like TCG, it's like, at least for Yu-Gi-Oh especially, it's like 5 minutes of just like pure hard lock-in. Like, will that be everything? Do you have an activation? It's like, what is your unknown trap card in the back? It's very like, even if I'm not fluent in Japanese, there's like 5-6 phrases I just need to know. And then I can just sort of like multiple choice pick each one for the situation. 40K is less like that. You have to you're keeping a conversation to the whole thing, you know, and so that's one of the interesting things is that the best part about the Lord of Skulls in a sense is the icebreaker nature of it. It's like it's like,
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Colin. I would love to hear.
I would say like everyone looks and goes like, dude, that's so awesome. You're bringing that thing? Like, let's go. Like, I imagine everyone's like just excited to see that monster show up.
It's like, yeah, it's kind of, I definitely like it because this is also coming from a guy who like the other lists I play besides Lord of Skulls is like really boring stuff. Like I play like regular Chaos Space Marines, and the list I'm building right now is like a Ultramarines list, and so everyone's like, oh, this guy. And so like when I like show up at the tournament, it's like everyone's like, if I just bring that list, everyone's like kind of like shuffles away from me, you know, with like a look of disdain in their eyes. But like it's like with the Lord of Skulls, it's like, you know, you shuffle to the table, the other guy shuffles to the table. It's like, oh, that's Lord of Skulls, and suddenly I actually have a conversation as opposed to like awkwardly standing like 5 feet from the other guy,
waiting for the the game to start, and then it's
like.
I'd love to see a Lord of Skulls Funko Pop. They made a Space Marine say, "You're being too safe. Make it a Lord of Skulls."
Funko Pop.
Oh no!
What's most commonly played that have you noticed? Other than, I assume, Space Marines, probably. Like behind Space Marines, what do you usually see the most of?
Space Marine and Necrons are super big here. The thing to remember for both of those is the Imperium magazine, because ninth, right? They were the key ones.
Yeah.
For the same reason, people who played around 8th, right? Space Marines, Death Guard. There's a lot of them still hovering around. And then besides that, Custodies are up there really just because they seem to be affordable. I say with like Warhammer Cafe's like fantastic Forge World selection, just furiously peddling like Telemons and stuff like that.
Buy it.
It's like, it's nice. It's like 30,000 yen. It's crazy. It's like
give me your money now, peasants.
It's like that. It's like, imagine it's like but so they're pretty up there. Besides that, there's, I guess, the other one, like Knights. I do see Knights a lot. Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, just any flavor of big robots. And then I think this will please you, Eli. Tau. Nice. It doesn't please me, but Tau do exist in the tournament circuit. Nice. So you do get that. Yeah, it's like the big ones.
It's not many Eldar is what I'm hearing. Not a whole lot of Eldar.
All right. How about you kiss my ass?
And there's not a lot of Eldar around here either. Sorry, Colin.
I actually have some fantastic news for you, Colin, and some terrible news for you, Eli. The Japanese community, yes, not a lot of people play Eldar. The expat community, and if you're ever curious, just go into the Japan, the Wargamers in Japan is what they're called, but the Wargamers in Japan Discord. If you ever hop into their general chat for 40K, it's just people play testing Eldar. I don't know what it is about the expat community. It's like 4 or 5 dudes in a furious group huddle, just like, let's lab, we gotta lab. This is crazy. It's like every new balance day just comes up and everyone's like, oh, this is optimal for Eldar because of this opening. This allows me to get into this. Okay, this one it's a nerf, but it's not that bad. We can play around it by using this and this. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm getting bullied right now out of this. Essentially, it's like I'm holding here with my Space Marine model, just standing here, just awkwardly in the corner, and everyone's furiously exchanging fire dragons, and I'm just
when you say your community is pretty intense, they're good at the game, I guess, like metamancers, lift lots of meta crafters and stuff. Where I live, there's people who are decent at the game, but there's no one around here is that good, to be honest. You run into your occasional GT person, but then everyone else is just pretty casual or really competitive, but they only really know how to play Reddit lists, so they're not that actually that good at the game. But I don't know if that makes sense. But
no, it does. For sure, dude. I have to tread lightly on this one. That's the problem. That's why I'm thinking so hard. Is like, because like if I say, I think the problem is that if I say like, oh yeah, no, we're pretty casual, then like some guy in the Discord is gonna like bust my ass. Like, no, it's like we're very serious about this. It's like and then on the flip side is if I say we're really good, some guy on Reddit is gonna bust my ass. It's
well.
Yeah.
How much practice do I need to do to not go 0-3 at the event when I show up? How much practice do I have to do to win at least one game?
Consider practicing for the week before. It's like, I think the short answer is that we have a handful. We have a pretty good split. So if you go to a tournament, you'll have your sort of more flavorful games. And then if you end up in top bracket, God help you. That's sort of like the experiment.
Goes from flavorful games to flavorful language. Like, oh, I haven't heard that one. Oh God. Oh.
Oh no, that's just me. I think that's more so. It's like when you just surround you, it's like the it's just to sort of bring it, we have like a lot of there's a handful of people here that are either that are pretty impressive when it comes to the actual gameplay. It's either people who regularly go to like Warhammer Worlds, there's people who attend like big events, team tourneys overseas, and that's something they would actually travel for. And so those people are quite good. So there's this image. It's like, it's Japan. Like how good could people possibly be? The top end is certainly. It's not easy at the top end, put it like this. But yeah, we do have a pretty good split, and I do want to say it's just like anywhere else, right? Like if you just sort of like get, especially like if you go into the losers bracket, it's a lot. Your games get more flavorful. People occasionally make mistakes. You make mistakes, so on and so forth. And so that's where it's
pretty normal.
Pretty normal, all things considered. Yeah,
or like comparable to Western communities as well, I guess. Pretty much the same.
So.
Yeah. Interesting.
So the next one from the Discord we got from Main Event Virgil, regular on the channel. Hello. Got into Warhammer during lockdown, needed something to do beside playing video games all the time, and came across Bricky's videos, in brackets, you know the ones, and then Luton. Originally, I was just into the lore, but then I decided I wanted to play the game. TBH, I think the game takes too long to play for me personally, but I fell in love with the hobbying side, which is weird because I have never enjoyed art. I've been painting models ever since, and I've branched into different models besides Warhammer. Honestly, it's been the most impactful thing I've done for my own joy for the past 5 years, and I couldn't be happier with it. Oh, that's lovely.
Nice.
Lovely.
Very nice.
I've got to get back into painting. I've got so many minis. I got some Chaos Boys. I got some Eldar. I got some Space Marines. I got a little Corgi Astra Militarum mini.
Nice.
So I got a few here and there. Like, do you? Because I only really know about like your infamous Lords of Skulls, but like whatever kind of minis do you like painting, or are you just like, no, just Lord of Skulls, please. I'll melt all my minis down just so I can make new Lords of Skulls, like an offering.
There's like a furious like addiction to chaos that I have, sort of like just going around. I think like just over here, like obviously the Lord of Skulls are right here, but if I were to just, and this is where I can, it's an excuse for me to show off a little bit. If I were to just go up into my like cupboard, I do have like a lot of just big models that I tend to mess around with. So I have here just your wonderful Master of Shadows.
Nice. If I do this for a second, hold just so you can see a bit better.
Oh God, there's the lighting.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
It's a nice blue, green blue stuff.
Yeah, the 50/50
ghostly flame. Nice.
So we got this.
Very Tomb Kingy.
I'll take that as a compliment, Andy. Yeah. And then here's I do have an Angron as well. Yeah. Just for some quick ones I want to show off. The rest don't look as good as these. It's just the ones that I feel safe to show on camera.
Those are nice.
Yeah.
When Hal shows his models, we all bully him. So,
yes, because he's showing off.
It's nice to have someone else who's good at painting show their models, because Hal usually mobs
when Hal does it, it's like unrelated. By the way, my cool model. Look at my airman.
He does that kind of UK air of superiority, like, oh, peasants, look what I can do. Ha ha ha.
Is there much more crackdown and painting requirements, I think, at all clubs? Because around here, some, like, I don't even know, like, pretty much nowhere has painting requirements. Like, obviously a GT or whatever sometimes does, usually. But you could show up with a fully gray army around here. People might not be that happy about it, but you could still play with it and you still be allowed to. Is everyone usually painted up in Japan?
Yeah, so here at the very least, you can definitely get away with the gray army. The rules that I think we go by is like, if you want your battle ready points, those just the 10 points that you need for scoring, you can get that's how you get them, right? The standard is usually just 3 colors. And you'll see a lot of people standing by that. But a lot of people here really enjoy flexing. So it's like, you do have a handful of people that's like, all right, here, I'm about to whip out my fully painted like stuff. And it's like a handful of like pretty dangerous people in that sense around there. Where it's like, if you feel like somewhat confident in your minis, you will like they will like pull their stuff out of the suitcase, and you instantly, you're like, any form of like self-value that you have just like hits the floor.
Your heart like, shatters, your eyes melt.
I was like, I distinctly have like one memory of like one of the best painters here. I was like this Italian guy, and like we were like talking. I was like, wow, your minis are really good. He's like, yeah, I whipped this mini out in like under an hour. And I'm like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, that is heavy metal in under an hour. I don't know what you're doing. And he was like, yeah, it's just like just one stroke and it's done. And I'm like, sure. And I was like, just like, show me your hand, right? And so he shows his hand. It's like, there's like a little shake, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, no, that's pretty steady. I was like, oh no, you're talking about painting. Oh no, this is the hand I paint with. And it's just a rock steady level hand. Like it's just straight flat. Like it's like a freeze frame. And so
wow.
Well, Colin, I have a question in that regard. With your experience in the US, have you ever bumped into like any tabletop guys who are like the kind of like General Patton-esque American bravado, like, hoorah, like I'm the best player in the world? Or is that more of a stereotype for Americans?
Not like seriously, like, you know, me and some other, you know, you were having, you know, good natured, like, you know, let's put them up. Come on, let's go. You know, some stuff like that. But I've never met anyone who like, is, you know, honest to God, like, yeah, you suck, you're bad, I'm gonna beat you. Because
it's interesting that the mild-mannered Canadians are getting the most strays in this episode. And I'm like, oh, that's
sorry, Canada bros.
Arthur
Maybe
Bones
it's good elsewhere in Canada.
Shitlord.
just like where I specifically am in Alberta is like the power gamer epicenter for some reason. It's very weird. Like it's like gotcha supreme. Like
I will say that the first game of Warhammer I ever played was against a fella that was in my friend group. I wouldn't say he was a friend. He was in the friend group.
Yeah.
He was an orbit.
Who was the only guy like I knew that played Warhammer and was getting into it. So we offered to play a game. I'm like, yeah, I'll play a game. And he very conveniently left out several important rules, which to a newcomer are not obvious. Like when you blow up a transport, that doesn't just kill everyone in it. He very conveniently did not tell me that, so my battle plan was out the window.
Whoa.
He very conveniently left out the fact that deep striking, you know, it just isn't always a good idea. Sometimes leaving, you know, getting the guys behind the enemy line is just feeding them into the meat grinder. Didn't inform me of what like strength versus toughness, what that really meant. When Eldrad soloed 20 Khorne Berserkers, he lost that fight, by the way. He did take down 6 of them. He went down swinging, but...
Well, no, I'm not to add another Canadian under the bus, but I distinctly remember my first game of Magic the Gathering getting some pretty strong cards and not knowing what some of the options were on the cards because I was being directed by Eli.
We tried to teach Andy how to play Magic.
And then I conveniently lost the next couple turns and I was like, oh, if I only knew this was a thing, I could have won the game. But then again, I'm just being a whinge bag. Where I lost my first game of Magic. Where Eli's persecuting me.
Yeah, we still have people yelling "wah" in around here.
Oh, dude.
In our stores. I assume that's would not really. You probably wouldn't see that in the Tokyo store. I assume.
Do we know
to what I had experienced at least? But
do we know the nationality of the guy who made news for like being like the nails are biting, the nails are biting? Was he?
I don't know, but that guy's a hero. He's shadow boxing in front of your opponent.
That's get good. That's get good. I met him in real life in Pittsburgh, actually.
Really? That guy?
Yeah, we worked out when we played Old World. Yeah,
dude, hell yeah,
that's sick.
Another crazy Canadian.
Was he playing Warriors of Chaos?
Oh no, we were borrowing some armies because he hasn't played Old World before. But yeah, we played Dark Elves versus Goblins, and the Dark Elves prevailed. Malekith #1.
Not the true Phoenix King.
Okay, pal. Okay, Mr. AOS. You know exactly what the price was for AOS.
Before
a bad event.
Before we have another incident between the Western powers of Canada and the US over disagreement. Saint Wagons from Discord. I first learned about Warhammer through a video on the Death Court of Krieg. Neat. And then left it for a couple years. Then a friend brought it up one day and I thought, oh, what's the harm of a second look? 3 days later, I info dumped the entire War of Heaven to Indomitus Crusade and currently have Knights, Sisters, Tyranids, Clowns, Harlequins, and most recently Soulblight. Wow. That's quite an escalation right there. Like
pretty cool.
Very in keeping with an addiction with someone just like, oh, that's not bad. And then like 3 days later, it's like, I need money for minis. I need it. I don't care if it's her college tuition. She doesn't need it for another 10 years. I need to buy minis. Like that's how it starts.
Have you gotten much into the books, Julius?
Yeah, actually, I've tried to keep up at the very least with some reading. I read.
Yeah,
I can read. I can read.
I
can read. Words are nice.
You're beating me on that front. I've just been
Bro, what do you mean?
just keep getting it right somehow.
Like you're just like going through. It's like somehow you just nailed the entirety of the 40K universe just by guessing.
You're there with every page on a dartboard, and you go,
I keep passing my my real life invuln saves.
Well, I was asking because I was wondering what your first Warhammer book was.
That actually, oh God, what was it? I think it was probably an anthology series, actually. It was a period of time where it was like the only like thing that was available on Amazon Japan was like an audiobook of like an anthology series for the Horus Heresy. And it was, I distinctly remember like the first story that I read was listened to was the Horus Axeman short story. And so that was like one. And so that's why I have like a huge bias towards Horus Axeman. I don't know what it is about him. I really love that guy from like head to toe. Which is also like disgusting for most people. But I think from like the first book I read was the first Heretic comes to mind pretty fast. No Fear. And I do like myself Horus Rising. Horus Rising. Oh, Flight of the Eisenstein. I do like Flight of the Eisenstein.
These are all classics. These are all classics.
Horus Heresy can't win them all.
I can like invisibly just send Collins disgusted. Like, how do you read some fantasy, you dumbass?
You brought me back in with the Eldar fans, and now I'm tuning back out.
Now I'm just getting slapped around. This is horrible.
I don't know. Am I having fun or do I hate it here? I can't tell.
I do want to try and get into some fantasy at some point. I think some of the I for whatever reason, Slaves to Darkness looks like really fascinating.
They have some sick models, and they're a little towards the elite end, so they're one of the cheaper AOS armies.
Should we see if I can find another one? Because I'm still going through these. We've got a few left. This is a good one. But it is not controversial, I would say, but it's a bit cheeky, this one, with the way it starts. From Saturnine Sewer Gator. I got into Warhammer thanks to a pirated copy of Dawn of War Soulstorm. Ooh, spicy.
Cool.
Straight into the piracy. I like the universe since at the time Star Wars felt too linear despite its setting, so I was looking for something new. Having also been an avid reader of Tolkien, too, at the time, also helped me make the setting more palatable, as it's essentially dark fantasy with sci-fi shenanigans. It gave me room to make whatever faction of lore I want, which was cool for high school and college-aged me. The biggest Warhammer challenge so far is actually gathering and collecting physical books, minis, and things where I live, since Warhammer is still super niche. In brackets, the city I live in has only one tabletop gaming store. Ooh, the struggle.
Yeah, same here, honestly.
Ooh.
I live in a small city, though, so it works.
I think it might be fair to say that you live in, quote, the sticks, Eli? Is that fair to say?
I guess. I live in the prairies. Thank you very much.
What is a prairie? Like a prairie dog?
Like fields? Like fields of wheat and grass?
Yeah, it's like the same as like in the Midwest. It's not the sticks.
It's not the sticks,
it's just flat.
There's prairies and then there's mountains, corn. And it's very pretty. I'll have you know.
Yeah,
it's like, say it wasn't pretty. You can get pretty sticks.
Not the sticks. Oh my gosh, crazy.
Oh,
well, is Dawn of War even like known about in Japan? That was a while. It was because StarCraft is big enough still, I imagine. Right,
StarCraft is big. I think
Dawn of War is kind of like StarCraft.
Yeah, no, I think it's very Dawn of War is somewhat known. I think another thing to note with Dawn of War was that Dawn of War, I believe, was published by Sega, right? So
yeah, maybe actually.
Oh yes, because Sega did Space Marine with a tie-in of Relic, and they did, as far as I remember, Dawn of War as well, because Relic Entertainment was
one
like,
of them, I would think.
Yeah. So it's like, it's somewhat known, put it like that. So it's like, if people are sort of, a lot of the Japanese players here do very much, it's like, oh yeah, I know of Space Marine, I know of Dawn of War or Total War. That's like usually the holy trinity. I think that goes for really though anywhere though too, in a sense, is that it sort of clicks up. So, that's true.
Let's see if I can share another one. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong buttons again. So this one's number 1 from Bowery Line 184. I got into Warhammer from Space Marine 2 with my friend, who then held me hostage with lore drops, and I nearly wanted to be the bugs that eat the blueberries. Wow. Got an Ultramarines hater in here. I will say, because you mentioned earlier on about lore and translations, I do manual subs for all my videos, so I get the automatic translation from Google. In your opinion, are the Google language translations pretty bad or okay? Because I don't know what the quality is on my subtitles in that regard. So I'm just like, I write it manually, space it out, and I just go, Japan, auto, Spanish, auto. And I'm like, I don't know if this is terrible or not, but it's going up there.
People use them. I think so. That's the thing, is like, so definitely don't sort of sell them short in that sense. A lot of people here is sort of like, oh, I just want to know like a little bit more about 40K lore. I guess we're just putting up the subs and just seeing what we can do. And so, yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a viewer base there. I think for myself, I haven't, the one which is I absolutely refuse to do. I'll do subs, and I think that's fine. But the auto dub feature that YouTube offers, that's the one thing I will not.
I've heard bad things about that.
I've a lot of people have complained about it because they just turned it on without telling anyone. So I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. My bad, everyone.
They sent an email a few weeks before being like, hey, by the way, make sure you turn, and like, I've had to turn mine off several times because it re-ticked itself. I'm like, off, go away. And I remember speaking to Rogue Hobbies and just like, by the way, you've got auto dubbing, and it was really funny because it was just her voice in Spanish and French and stuff. And then she deleted them all, and then she put new videos up with the option turned off. And I'm like, you're still Spanish? And she was like, oh my god. And I had like walk her through turning off that again. And it's such a like, I understand their perspective of like, if we auto dub, dub, it reaches more people. But then I'm also one of those people who, when I watch like international media, I want to hear it as it was intended to be heard. I want to like just put the subtitles on, whether it's like Pan's Labyrinth or if it's an anime. I'm like, I want to like, or when I play the Yakuza games, I play the Japanese dub. And then I just read the subtitles because, even though the new games are like, hey, Danny Trejo's in it and George Takei, it's like, okay, but like, I don't like most of the cast because it's just like a lot of Californian guys going, oh, it's me. It's me. Hey there, my name's Ichiban. How's it going? I'm like, why are you going, every time you say a word? Oh, I don't like it. But
dub can be pretty painful. I'm not big into anime anymore, but dub can be pretty painful. I've seen clips of what My Hero Academia sounds like dubbed. How does anyone watch that show? I was like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It just sounds so abysmally terrible.
Because whatever Chris Sabat is being All Might, it's good, and then everyone else talks.
It was like, oh God! It was like, what is this? I think what's fun about that is also it kind of works on the flip side as well, where like in here we get Japanese dubs of like foreign stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like people aren't familiar with like, I think like the fast example I can give is like Peter Cullen is not Optimus Prime here, which is it's such an L. But God bless the actual actor that they got for it. There's an actor Genda Tesho. You might know him from, he did what was it called? Galactic Heroes, I think. Ginga Eiyu Densetsu. I don't know if you guys know that series. But he is a fairly decent substitute. So they tried to get someone. But that's the problem. It's like sometimes you don't get that substitute for Peter Cullen, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Because with the whole like dubbing and like, because I occasionally when I go on Audible, because I like to get books on Audible if I can for Warhammer, I'll see like, oh, there's a German dub of like Fall of Cadia or whatever, but I don't see many other language like options. I don't know if that's just what I can see or what's available. But the only trouble I think is that like Games Workshop is notoriously bad at making good decisions for their like audience base, and I feel like there'll never be like a robust, like, I don't think they'd ever put the effort into being like, all of our back catalog of Black Library will just convert into different languages. Like, even when you look on their official sites, like, would you like to buy the audiobooks at like 5 times the price of them on Audible? It's like, why would I ever use this website? This is rubbish. And like, I feel like it's a bit of a shame that it then falls to the international communities to like grassroots their own way of like getting people into the hobby in that regard. But again, I'm doing my best with subtitles. It's good fun.
Yeah. Very good, Andy. Yeah. I have nothing else to say. I'm out of questions.
I actually got a question if you're just curious, because it's like, because for me, I'm just super curious. It's in the sense of you guys are all, I would say, to my knowledge at the very least, a little bit more well-versed in the lore side of things, correct? So that's just sort of, it's just a little bit, you know. And I would be super curious to know, so like, because we just had that question when it came to sort of the adaptation of, say, something like from Warhammer into anime as a whole, just to sort of like, in a way, revisit, but I want to kind of like broaden out that question a little bit. Do you guys think that a story like 40K would translate well into sort of the Japanese style of storytelling? So say you get like, when you get anime, right, you have your classic, like, you know, like all these sort of like mannerisms, the way it's visually told. Do you think that's something that would work well for something like 40K, or something that just any Games Workshop IP as a whole?
I would say 40K could, because it's such a big universe that you could make basically whatever genre you want. And, you know, at the end, you just show like a symbol of corn or something to tie it all together.
Yeah.
But until then, you couldn't make it anything. Like some Necromunda books, they're just like cyberpunk dystopia stories. They have nothing to do with the galaxy at large, but it's still a Warhammer book.
Yeah. I think it would. Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's in some ways kind of a cop out, because it's basically saying, yeah, just make whatever story you want and then give it a Warhammer skin. But the setting is made in a way to encourage that. Like, that's, you know, part of the draw to it. Like, you know, painting your own guys, make them whatever you want. It is partly encouraged to do that, whatever the hell you want. So
I think some factions would work, and some factions it would be harder to do. Like, I think Tau and Eldar, you can make animes around pretty easily, especially Eldar. I'm not sure why. I think they would just fit an art style and storytelling aesthetic like that, and then Tau a little bit. And then the more you get into like the more grimdarky stuff, I guess, like Space Marines and Imperium and even Orcs, it might be like getting harder and harder to kind of.
You can do Orcs. I think they're goofy enough.
You could. It's just it depends. I guess it depends on the perspective. Like you can do an Orc perspective book where they're goofy and silly, but it'd be a lot harder to do maybe a human's perspective on an Orc.
I feel like
there's.
We'll go for it.
I don't think the grimdark thing would keep it from getting translated.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I mean, because one thing I was going to say was like, I think that nowadays the setting is less grimdark. I think
also
that's a problem when because when I think of things like is it Tetsuo the Iron Man and Akira and like some media that I've seen from Japan, there's some really like grimy and gritty and grim like franchises and films and animes and stuff. So like I think that would be very enticing for a lot of Japanese fans. But the hobby's kind of getting away from that angle. It's a bit more clean. It's a bit more, prim and proper, like almost World of Warcraft-esque when I think of like the Koteya's artwork they did for him in his new book. And I'm like, the old one was better. We had like tubes sticking out of his head and it was like kind of 90s grim aesthetic or 80s grim aesthetic, I suppose. I don't know. It would be... And again, I've heard rumors that... the new, still being produced Warhammer TV show is possibly going to be set during the Scouring, which I don't know how much of that is valid or not.
I'm still not sure if I'm convinced that this TV show is happening.
I know GW has said that they have no control of it. So they're like, we're in the dark too because we don't know what's going on. We have no control over the IP. It's Amazon's thing. And so it's kind of like hard to tell, like, is this going to like... Is it going to be an Eisenhorn thing? Is it going to be Horus Heresy? Is it going to be the Scouring? Because Scouring would make sense of like the new books are coming out. It's that sweet spot of it's not the glory days of pre-heresy. It's not the 41st millennium where it's a bit more like there isn't as much of a structured timeline where it's still ongoing. The Scouring might be the perfect place to be like, hey, it's like Game of Thrones almost where it's a grim setting in the universe. It's got the potential to be quite a long series without going on indefinitely. We'll see how it goes. But again, like, I don't really have any knowledge about how, for example, in Japan, certain IPs are compared to their Western counterparts. Like, I assume Star Wars does okay, but I don't know if it's like big like it is in the West. And if that's like a corollary, if that would be like a good like yardstick to measure the potential for Warhammer, because it's like sci-fi, or would something like Game of Thrones be more apt? But then is that very popular? And like I don't know how you would gauge it to an extent.
Yeah, it's a tough call on that one. I mean, like Star Wars itself is a whole other like sort of like struggle story, at least here. I mean, for us overseas, right? We got stuff like Star Wars Visions. So that's sort of like you get a little bit of lens. It's like, this is sort of maybe Japan's take on it. And it's very much, and 40K fits this niche as well, where if you know, but the question is just does the household know? Does the people sitting in front of their TVs know? That's where it gets like a little more difficult, I think like Star Wars is interesting in that sense because Star Wars, the prequel series are not a thing here, right? Like the actual originals. Yeah. Well,
that's where General Grievous is.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's so cool. the most anime character that I think.
In addition to my collection, runs off a building.
But for whatever reason here, people, and this is where I'm gonna get like 3 people leaving the call right away. The most popular series here is the sequel trilogy.
Oh no!
There's just
How could Japan do this? How could Japan do this? Oh my goodness!
the Japan Star Wars situation is crazy.
Did someone call a big voice?
But like, yeah, I don't know what it is. It might be just because just how prevalent Disney is here and how much it's heavily marked. Like Disneyland is right there next to Tokyo, just for reference, and that's got a Star Wars ride. But like, I see people here, and there are like hardcore nerds which are like, oh god, what is going on in 9? I remember when 9 came out, there was like a YouTube video from like a popular Japanese YouTuber that came out that was just like, what did I just watch? And that was just what it was titled, which is really good. But like, yeah, when it comes to marketing, it's all sequel stuff here. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's just a thing. It's like, yeah.
So do you think a Warhammer anime would work?
I would love for it to happen. I think it's one of those tricky things in production where the logistics of it is probably a lot harder than I want, but the concept it could be great. I would love to see, like, I think I always had this idea in my head where I think like sort of, and this, once again, this goes back to the mecha bias for me, right? So huge mecha bias. Obviously, I think Tao is a pretty, like, who's not gonna love like something that's like Sunrise made that just has like a Riptide with full like thruster porn on it. I would be so down for that. But like, I think like off the top, like just you can do like more sort of like go back to like the 1990s stuff, right? Like I'd love like to see like something sort of like like I think Iron Warriors would actually be a great option for that.
Okay.
Sorry, going back to Space Marines, but like Iron Warriors with like metal, like you can put some like just put like a metal soundtrack over that, and then like do like a sort of like Bubblegum Crisis kind of X, like pistons everywhere, you know, like when you get like the anime likes doing this stuff, when you get the piston like doing this and the steam comes out, you know, they have that. I can definitely see stuff like that. But yeah, I had that. There was like that, or like you could do the steam as well for like Butcher's nails. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like show like the nails like full power, and they're like kind of like putting out steam in the back.
Yeah,
or like a transformation scene of Angron becoming Demon Primarch in like an animation. Like, the horns coming out and his face changing, and
and I mean some of the Hammer and Bolter stuff, I think if they made that you know more long running would fit the vibe. Now they would need to give it more than 2 frames a minute.
Well, there was that one Death Guard episode where they made the most disgusting animation I've ever seen in my life, where it's like a plague marine turning into like a thing that eats a thing and eats a thing. And it's like pulsing and there's like stuff coming out of it. And you're like, this is grotesque and I love it. And it was like,
I think you could do an assassin storyline. You could totally do an Officio assassin storyline in anime. That would be cool. I think that would work really well.
Although I think too, like you said, Julius, like it's a little earlier though. Like I think it is a thing in America too. Like it's not quite yet enough of a household name to justify a lot of that stuff. I feel like, at least in the eyes of Games Workshop, because even with like the mystical Henry Cavill show that may or may not exist, and Schrodinger's Henry Cavill Warhammer,
Schrodinger's Cavill,
but it like even with that, like most people I know, like personally, only know what Warhammer is because when they ask, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" I'm like, well, I talk about my toy soldiers.
Let's go.
Even before I got into it, like most people didn't have a damn clue, unless they had happened to play Warhammer, which you're playing it, you're obviously going to know what it is, but like the average person, at least in the States too, doesn't have much knowledge on it.
A good anime would, like, tons of people would watch that in all the hemispheres too. Like, everyone loves anime around the whole world. Like, I don't know, GW just hates risk taking, even if the payoff is $1 trillion billion. Well,
yeah, of course. They said video games weren't a worthwhile investment in 2015. 2015.
They did a Konami. What do you mean? What do you mean?
I would be ill not to mention this. So actually, bouncing off of that, Eli, I believe Warhammer did actually do one thing which is pretty interesting, which was, if you guys remember, I think it was a year or two back, they released a Death Watch cinematic short. that one was made by a studio called Safe House. Safe House is a Tokyo-based studio. So it actually is a Japanese studio. And I believe they partner with Bandai actually on that one.
Cool.
Which is really interesting. So I guess there's a whole thing to say, yeah, there is slivers of hope there. That something could happen. They got some feet on the ground. But the question is just, it's like, are we going to get the question is, are we going to get like something that's Chainsaw Man quality, AOT quality? That's the question which we have to start asking. It's like, do we get that, or we get One Punch Man season 3? Like,
and then Bandai also has that Amazon connection where a while back in London they did like it was a Gundam movie premiere, but it was a smash of all these like new episodes of a TV series. They kind of like they stuck it together and they did like a movie premiere. And it was like the last episode was the first episode and they cut bits out. So like I went to watch and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. But it was like, okay, well that's interesting because they obviously like partnered with, I think Amazon was the platform where you can watch the show. So if it's like the trifecta of like, you got Bandai, you got Games Workshop, you got Amazon, maybe they can get it working.
You know who would be a perfect anime character? Is Aramon. Aramon would be a perfect anime character. Aramon.
Is that because you could do a One Piece style 1,000 episode shenanigans where he's trying to reverse the Rubicon?
Well, he can go on a billion different adventures. He's like a scheming, very like serious guy. Like I could hear his voice in Japanese. It would totally work. I could totally hear it, totally see it. Lucius the Eternal would also be awesome in anime. I think he would work too.
Oh man. I think my dream cast, and just like on this subject, I would kill for so much to get Koyasu, the voice actor for Dio. I would kill for him to be like Karn or something. That would be insane. It was like,
him like who would he fit the most? Honestly, I think I might go him for Orican.
Oh man.
Yeah, actually Necrons would also be an awesome anime storyline. Yeah.
Although,
I could pick all 4 Chaos Champions as anime characters.
We gotta remake Dio versus Jotaro, but it's Imhotep versus Helbrecht.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I could see the 4 Champions of Chaos as JoJo villains. Now that I think about it,
I have an idea. It's insane, but bear with me. We get Studio Ghibli to make one about a Watcher in the Dark from the Dark Angels. And it's just about this little guy in his robes with his little sword scurrying around the rock. And
you know what? That'd be fun. That'd be funny.
Yeah, and seeing his perspective looking up to Azrael, he's a silly Watcher. That could be funny.
That's like...
that's the little guy. That could be a Ghibli film. Yeah.
It would work. It's like, I don't know why my mind straight went to, when you said Ghibli, I straight went to Grave of the Fireflies. So it's like a really bad
they can go pretty they go depressing when they want to, like, oh no.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm just like imagine like the Watcher that just like comes out and the entire like the Space Marine squad is just dead. It's just it's a run.
Or it's just a bunch of Cadian orphans. Like, oh god. Oh no. And they're just looking up and they're just seeing the Blackstone Fortress holding hands as it's about to impact and kill everyone. Like, oh no.
Oh man. Yeah. It's harder for me to imagine like I don't know, someone like Marneus Calgar or like Dante. It's harder for me to imagine them in an anime than it is.
I mean,
Marneus, like Necron characters and like Lucius and Aramon.
Marneus came kind of close in his comic where he rips the head off a Lord of Skulls. And was just like, lol. Like, he's got that energy. He's got that dog in him. And again, thank you very much, Julius, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And check out Legion W on YouTube if you want to see more from Julius. And other than that, we'll see all of you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Love you. Love you, subscribe.